almost started the intro.
Yeah, yeah. Good morning or hello, everyone. Not sure if it's morning or evening for Angela. Welcome, welcome. You found your way to the Sacred Wisdom Circle, and here we remember what the world has tried to make us forget, that we are not lost, we are not broken, and we are the light. So I want to welcome everyone here today. And it's just me and Angela today, and it's early morning for me. So I said to her, "You better, get me going."
Hi, everybody, and welcome again to another wisdom chat today. I think, yeah, and today we are recording on a Saturday instead of normally our Fridays. So Janice and I were kind of thinking about let's make this a casual coffee chat as opposed to a full on let's do the Friday thing. So
Yeah.
slower starts on Saturday mornings. For me, I had a 2.5 hour nap
Lovely.
during the day today. It was just delightful. And so for me, what is so important as part of our journey on this pathway is the time that we get to take out for ourselves. We bandy about things like self-care, and a lot of people think that self-care is going to be go to the hairdresser and have my hair done, or my nails done, or my eyelashes done, or a bubble bath. And yet it's so much more. It is about taking time out in these quiet spaces and gaps that we get and creating those gaps as well, during our days, during our weeks, so that not only are we restoring ourselves, but we're also integrating. And I know that you, Janice, are the amount of shift and change that we're going through. That time for integration is so, so important.
Oh, it is. It is. And I said just before we got on, I'm like, oh, it's Saturday. This is the day I get to go slow, and I get up. Usually this is my day to sleep in. My husband gets up with the dogs, and just, if it's not kids, it's dogs. And I do a quiet meditation. I mean, I do that every morning, but there's a little bit more of a pace to it on weekdays, right? So that
Yeah.
I'm ready to go by, 8:39 a.m. I'm ready to go online or do what I need to do. Technically, though, this lifestyle I've created, I don't do any groups before 10 a.m., which is something that I decided that I needed my time to get my own kind of stuff together in the mornings and have time to reflect. Um, but anyways, Saturdays are the okay, nothing's on the agenda. We just get to relax. And I think this morning I'm feeling a little extra tired because I was writing yesterday. And Angela, that can be
Yeah.
quite consuming. I mean, I love writing when you get going. It's more intense than painting.
Yeah.
And and it was stories that were part of my past that were difficult stories. So yeah, it took a lot out of me. It
I'm laughing because it seems to be the pattern of the week. I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. I've had sleeping issues. You've had sleeping issues. Alana's had sleeping issues. I've been writing and doing deep stuff around the writing and releasing as well this week. So
Yes.
kind of, and that also brings home, when and I'm sure you've seen this with the circles that you run as well, when women come together collectively and we're in a space which is regular, we're connecting on a similar energy, similar frequency, we seem to go through pretty much the same things at the same time, maybe slightly differently,
Yep.
but that energy of, I mean, I was giggling yesterday when we were posting up in WhatsApp, and that I've had sleeping issues, you've had, and Alanna, all in the same week and even the same evenings. And I'm on a different side of the world to you guys. So it just
Right?
made me giggle. It really
Yes.
made me laugh. And so for those of you who are watching, if you're in intimate groups of women, particularly, and I'm not saying it doesn't happen for men, but we're working in the feminine energy and the feminine vibration. If you're in those kinds of intimate circles, have a look at the Native American Indians talk about the moon lodge. And
Mhm.
in the moon lodge is where you've got your teepee, and in the moon lodge is where women gather at the time of, and they talk about it as the, what is the word that they use for it? It'll come back to me. But essentially it's the maidens, it's the mothers and the grandmothers that all go into the moon. It's the moon time. When they all go into the moon lodge when women are menstruating. And in those communities, they're all menstruating at the same time because of the connection and the intimacy that they have with one another, which is why there's the specific timing during the lunar month as to when they go into the moon lodge. And it's a sacred time because it's also the honoring of the creative energy of the feminine and of the woman who bears future generations. So it's treated with an immense amount of reverence. Not only the fact that they're gathering together, but there's also this reverence for future generations that becomes part of the moon lodge ceremony and the moon lodge timing. And also this is where the grandmothers pass on wisdom to the mothers and to the maidens. And so the continuity through centuries of time, through oral teachings, was the grandmothers. And the same thing would happen in the masculine energy where they would go into the warrior tents and the warrior in the warrior lodges. And
Right.
men would go through their rites of passage and initiation. So if you find yourself in groups of women where you have this intimate connection, look for the similar signals that are telling you that you're vibrationally connected with one another.
Yes, very much so, right? Yeah, and that was also their most powerful time too, is which was part of the reason why that started too, was, you're a little too powerful. You guys go over there. Not in a bad
And I'm
way.
sure, talking about the lodge, I'm sure you're going to be getting your teepee up and running pretty soon once the weather turns for
I
you
was
guys.
just thinking about that this morning because we have a beautiful sunny day and it's supposed to get warmer and warmer for the next 4 days. We just had a huge blizzard. Like, was that yesterday? The day before yesterday. And it's so funny here, the way the weather will shift and change. But then I was just standing in the living room this morning and looking out the window and going, oh yeah, what month is this again? We got to think about getting that teepee up soon. But yeah, it'll go up in June, I think, is when we usually do. We get a bit of unstable weather through May and June, and so once the end of June comes, like closer to the summer solstice, it starts to settle down, and we don't get as many windstorms, or we don't want to risk tornadoes or anything like that. So
No, not at all. Not with that
no,
beautiful.
because if that TP gets knocked down, it's not probably going back up again. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
It's so interesting because here in the southern hemisphere, here in South Africa, we have like 3 months of winter. I mean, I'm sitting in April and I'm still sitting wearing short sleeve shirts, and we still go pretty much to the end of April. It's starting to get I can feel cooler in the mornings,
mhm.
starting to get there. But we have a very short winter. It's May, June, July, and by mid-August, we're already starting to see the new buds coming. Um,
Wow, is that right?
yeah. And so it's almost the reverse where you're having like 3 or 4 months of summer and the rest of it is
Yeah.
cold with and
Oh,
I'm
I like your idea better.
well,
I'm
you'll
like,
have to
how did
come and
I
visit us
land here? How did I land here?
you'll have to come and visit us when it's winter for you and spend some time in our glorious, beautiful summer weather.
Oh, wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah.
Lovely. So tell us again exactly where you're Southern Africa, right?
Yeah,
So,
I'm in Johannesburg in
okay,
South Africa in the
right.
southern hemisphere.
Yes, Africa's it's always been a big part of my life because my dad went there when I was very young for his work. He worked for Raytheon Canada, where they set up radar satellite, or not satellite, but radar equipment all over the world, and he had to go and make sure, there were no problems with them setting it up. So Africa kind of came into my world and I fell in love with it. And then Jane Goodall, right? So then I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
I want to do what she's doing.
yeah. I went to Rwanda. I was in Rwanda for about 3 months. We were opening hotels. And at the time, I was actually quite sad because at the time, the Rwandese government had closed off the visits to the gorillas. So we couldn't get into the gorillas.
Oh,
Um, but it was so funny. I mean, we stayed in a hotel. It was called the Gorilla Hotel while we were building, while the new hotel was being built. but it was quite an experience. It was both incredibly joyous and heartbreaking, absolutely heartbreaking. I remember the one time I came home because they would fly me home for a week each time so I could come down and see the kids and then go back up again. And I remember the one time going back, we had been, I mean, this was crazy. This project was insane. We had to recruit, we had to design the training, we had to do and deliver the training, and it was both around the hotel, the brand of the hotel, and then all the technical skills of how to run a hotel. And we were doing it in English and French. So everything I was saying, I had a French translator standing next to me translating. So everything took double the amount of time.
Oh, wow.
And the interesting thing, when we did the recruitment, just about everybody that applied for positions, I mean, we were just about annihilated the one day. The pressure of all the people wanting to apply for jobs. And all of them came in with tertiary education because they placed such a premium on tertiary education in Rwanda.
Okay, say that again.
So post
Tertiary
school, yeah,
education?
post school. So they all came in with either bachelor degrees or some form of
Okay.
post school qualification.
Okay.
And then I went back. It was the second time. I'd come home twice and I'd gone back for the last lot. I'll never forget this as long as I live. The heartbreak was the fact that the ruling government at the time, because you had the Hutsis and the Tutsis, and I forget which one is which. And I don't mean to be disrespectful at all, but the ruling government was all very tall, and the other tribe was very short. And the government had come in and terminated the employment of all of the people in the opposite tribe. And I remember getting off the plane and coming into the Gorilla Hotel that day, and this guy walking past me, and it was like there was nobody home. The lights were, and I didn't know at the time that all of these people had been let go. So we had to start again. We were like 6 weeks away from opening. We had to recruit again, and we had to train all the new staff again. And we were actually opening two hotels, one
Oh,
in
wow.
Kigali and one on the lake. I mean, it was as I say, one of the most rewarding and yet one of the saddest times in my career while I was still in hospitality in hotels.
Oh, yeah.
It was
And
heart-wrenching.
when was this then?
Oh,
What
long
year, do
time
you
ago.
know?
Yeah, a long time ago. This was probably about 2001, 2002.
Okay.
It might have even been 2003. I can't remember the exact.
So I'm trying to remember when all of that, the Rwanda
The
stuff,
genocide.
the genocide happened. That was prior, like you would have been there after.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
they created, and I didn't go, I just couldn't. They had created a genocide museum, and I just could not. I could not face going there.
Oh,
So a
no.
lot of the guys did. But again, it's, those are the kinds of, and if anybody looks back, I'm sure we can all pinpoint life-changing moments in our life that had an impact on
Our
who we are
conversations
today.
are just not coincidental. Like there's people, please. Please take closer awareness to things like this. Like it's interesting that you're reflecting back. Yesterday I was reflecting back to a big event, my bankruptcy, a big event in my life, and writing about it and crying and like a lot of emotions coming out. Well, and it just so happened that yesterday I got up and went, okay, today's day I need to write that chapter. Well, look at where the stars are at. And what you're reflecting on right now spontaneously. We didn't come on to talk about this, but that's coming up for you. So it's like, okay, there's the signs for us. It's like this is a time of, what are you ready to let go of? So, and you think about it, it's like, what were you going through personally that you are remembering that right now? What was I going through at that time, like bankruptcy and all that? Why did that come back up again yesterday, new moon, just without any conscious connection? That's what I was doing. So, and this is the way it works. And this is why we need to be so much more present and so much more aware. So I'm so, really honored that you shared that with me. And so interesting. A whole other side of the world.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And we're connected here. I love this.
Absolutely, it's amazing. And so, again, if we look back on our lives, there are so many defining moments. There are so many moments when we are placed in situations where we have a choice as to how we're going to be going forward. I mean, I remember when I got divorced, I was broken, completely broken. And yet, thank God, I had two children, with little eyes looking at me every morning to get up and get out of bed. Otherwise, I don't know whether I would. I'm not saying I was going to anywhere near to suicidal
Yeah,
ideation at
but
all.
still.
But they gave me purpose and meaning of getting up and getting out of bed every morning. And that slowly started. And I think the other thing for me that also comes back is that when we have purpose and meaning around the way that we are engaging and connecting on a soul level with why we are here. For me, it's particularly deep. It's not just why am I here and let me go and do a purpose exercise. It's really rooting back into what is my soul's journey and my soul's purpose. I read Viktor Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, probably in about 1992, just before my marriage broke up. Again, there's a defining moment, a book that completely changed my life.
Yeah.
Janice has written books. I'm writing books, and none of them are finished. There's about 5 in process. But we never know what's going to land in somebody's hand that is going to stimulate for them a defining moment that allows them to make a shift and change within themselves, just as we've had our own defining moments.
Yes.
Things like leaving the corporate world. That was a big defining moment for me as well.
Mhm.
And there are many. The birth of our children always is a defining moment. I'm coming up for it. I'm so excited.
Yes,
To
you
become
are.
to become a nana for the first time. It's going to be another huge, big defining moment. So I guess what I'm saying to everybody today, when you take out these times of self-care and you sit quietly and you reflect back and look back on your life, there are so many defining moments, positive and what we thought at the time may not have been very positive. Divorce is never things like you going through bankruptcy. Connect back to our purpose, and we see the meaning in those aspects of all those things that have take us on our life's journey. That's when the teaching and the learning that comes from that is just on another level.
And it never really ends because we keep going back, reflecting back, and there's more gold in there, so to speak. And even just like I said
Yeah.
yesterday, going back and writing about these events, it was very, bringing up a lot of emotion. So it's showing me there's still stuff there. And I have noticed that because in my groups, and we're talking about ways that we self-abandon, ways that we let go of our power. You can never really let go of your power. That's just kind of a way of describing it, but giving away your power, playing small, or feeling like you feel the little shifts in how you change in relationships, even just a little bit, because that's what was coming up for me yesterday. It's like, oh, I'm noticing that I still have little shifts and changes in my relationship with my husband that I think I still am holding guilt over the bankruptcy because it was my business. And so it's still there. And I thought I had cleaned it up. But it just keeps uncovering more and more gold. You're laughing because
Like, yeah, I'll tell you why I'm laughing in a minute. It's like peeling away the layers of the onion, and more and more and more and more each time is revealed and I think it comes up for me is that the more I'm growing, the deeper I can get into, and I'm going to refer to it as a wound. Because for many of us, it links to Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. And so we need to deal with the wound and heal the wound. So it keeps,
which is like prominent right now.
Chiron's in Aries. I mean, what's going on here? So it's
Yeah, and it has lots of help too.
but the reason why I'm laughing, you talked about self-abandonment. I've been writing about self-abandonment now for 3 weeks. You and I connected over
We were
coherent. You were doing coherence and I was doing coherence at the same time. Different, but the same
Yeah.
vibration. And now we're both talking about self-abandonment. So I'm not sure. We must be
Yeah.
meeting each other in the ether
Oh
somewhere
my
at the
gosh.
same
It's so
time.
cool. I love it. I love it. And it's been powerful work. And I'm still in the midst of it because I'm running this masterclass. Um, and I have a VIP group, some people that decided to upgrade. And so I'm giving the messages every day. And the beauty of it is like, I mean, this is real stuff. I walk through it with you. And I know you do too with your groups. It's like, I go deep. I go deep, deep, deep so that I can keep bringing awarenesses to everyone else. And so,
Yeah,
it's current, it's alive, it's organic right
yeah,
now. And that's that self-abandonment, that is very cool because again, when you start to look at, we've got 7 planets in Aries
in
right
Aries.
now,
Yeah,
which is, that powerful time period of new beginnings moving forward. And also, like, what are you taking off of you as you cross this bridge? Because it's not going to hold all of it, right? I see it as
uh,
kind of a rope bridge. We're moving on to the next land over there, and you've got to take a few layers or rocks out of your backpack in order to get across this bridge. And so it's all just organically coming up for
yeah.
us. And it blows my mind that people don't think the planets have any effect on us because when you stop and you look and you go, wait a minute, that's lining up in my life really, really powerfully right now. And I don't even have any planets in Aries. Like my Aries is completely open and
Yeah,
on my chart. So imagine the people that do have Aries planets in
yeah.
Aries and they're getting like double whammy of this. So yeah,
And the other thing too is that, and I'm sure you're finding this as well, is that with this understanding of how we abandon ourselves, and there's two things I want to say about that. First off is how the feminine energy and women have self-abandoned through centuries, reinforced, of course, because of, I mean, I'm not discounting the patriarchy and the impact of the patriarchy, but the feminine vibration and energy itself has abandoned itself. Also, it seems she went into hiding.
yes,
Um, but at the same time, as we show up in our lives and the way in which we engage with people, and there's so much more awareness of, oh, that's where I abandoned myself. That's where I gave my power. And I'm not talking now about going into this, kind of opposite masculine energy power. It's a case of, I mean, I had an incident the other day with my daughter, and we were just talking about something, and she passed a comment. And before I would have given my power away to go into almost capitulating to her point of view. And I looked at her and I said to her, that's not my truth anymore. I've done a lot of work around this issue and I'm not picking that up anymore.
oh,
And
good for
so
you.
there's the contrast between the self-abandonment in abandoning myself into her point of view versus me going, no, that's not my truth anymore, and I'm not going to pick it up. And so if she chooses to still see that particular incident through her lens, that's fine. I don't have to put her glasses on anymore. And
Yeah,
those are the kinds of little things that we notice in terms of how we can abandon ourselves during the day. Saying something when we should be keeping silent is
right.
another way we abandon ourselves. Uh,
Yes.
kind of to fill in a space or to be seen, to be heard by other people instead of just being quiet. I had an incident like that. I was in a friend's home in Los Angeles, and there was a whole lot of stuff going on, and there were all these women, and there was this program and all the stuff that they were doing. And I kind of felt this almost out of body experience of standing back and just observing what was going on. Before I would have collapsed right into that. I would have gone into, I want to sign up, I'm going to spend all this money, money which I didn't have. There again, the contrasting between how we abandon ourselves and how we take care of ourselves, and coming back to that's part of self-care, is
Yeah,
coming back to knowing what we will and won't engage in. And that's also the second point that I wanted to make, is bringing in this incredible power of discernment. Because when we are self-aware and we take time out, we start to develop the higher order skill of discernment. And that's
Mm.
when we stop. That's when we stop abandoning ourselves, is because we're starting to do, and we feel it. You and I spoke about it. I think the last time it was just you and me. We were speaking about our physical body and how we feel it in the body. That's
Yes.
the first signal of where we're about to abandon ourselves. When we ignore that squirrely feeling in our stomach that's going, something's off.
Yes. Well, that's what
Huh?
got me going deeper into the self-abandonment was exactly what you just described, where there was this mastermind I wanted to be a part of, and everything was pulling me into it, except that little feeling inside of me, which was saying, I don't want to go back to, over stressing, taking that leap into my next level identity, the next part of who I am. Yes, that's the direction I'm going. That is absolutely the direction I'm going. There's nothing wrong with that mastermind. But there was a part of me that said, but now we're going to do it our way. Not
Yeah.
not like that. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it my way because I get to go forward and be supported as I go, no longer taking that leap off the cliff, which is beneficial in a lot of ways because there's a lot of people that resist taking a leap. And you need to sometimes take that leap. But yeah, it was like, no, we're not doing that anymore. We're going to create the reality. And that felt very powerful. So that was one thing. The other thing I
Cool.
wanted to say was, thank you for saying that conversation with your daughter, because that's another, like when I said, self-abandoning yourself, changing or shifting your behavior around certain people, like a partner or your children, which is a big one for women because do you know what? There's stuff I hold like, oh, I wish I'd have done this better or that better. Oh, I feel badly that I didn't give my kids this or that. That lingers in our energy. And even as they get older, we're holding that as we're in relation with them, and it changes who we are.
Yeah.
And that awareness is huge. It's huge.
Anytime we step into becoming the person that we think other people want us to be,
Oh
that's
yeah.
that's that is huge self-abandonment. And it doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a boss, whether it's a friend, a spouse, a partner, whether it's our children. It's that externalization all the time that if only I do this, 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 and this. Siblings is a huge one,
Oh
massive
yeah.
one. If I do this, 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 and this, then they'll see me, they'll notice me, I'll matter, I'm loved.
Mhm.
And that's the stuff that sits underneath all of this. And each time we're externalizing, we're abandoning ourselves. And that's why, again, these quiet times that we have, I know you were talking about the quiet time on a Saturday morning. For me, that time in the morning is absolutely precious. At the moment, I'm gifted in the sense that it is just only me. I've got my daughter and son-in-law just down the road, but it is just me. So that time in the morning, I don't have to think, yeah, I've got a dog I need to take care of, but for the rest of it, I have these beautiful mornings where I come into presence. And when you were
Yes.
saying we don't start with groups until 10 o'clock, it's because we give ourselves, and we are lucky. I mean, you couldn't pay me enough money to go back to work in a corporate
Oh
environment.
my
Not.
God, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Every morning, I'm like you. My mornings are precious. That's a favorite time of day for me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
every morning, it's like, thank you, thank you, thank you.
You could not pay me enough money. And it's around the fact, and for those of you who are in working in jobs, I'm not knocking jobs by any stretch of the imagination. But if you are in those situations, it's get up a half an hour earlier just to bring yourself into presence
Hmm.
so that you don't have to go through your day performing because it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so
and
if we,
it's about landing in yourself before
yeah,
you go out and you're told who
yeah,
you should be, right? It's
yeah,
first me,
yeah,
then everyone else.
yeah. I remember, I think I've shared it before and I'll share it again. I remember I think my ex-husband had just moved out of the house. It hadn't been long. And it was just one of those, again, one of those defining moments that can happen in nanoseconds. I happened to turn the television on and I turned around and it was still in the days when it was the Oprah show before it became O. and her whole thing that it was early days in the Oprah show. I mean, my children were little. They were 4 and 2, and they're now 34 and 35 and 36. So it was a long time ago, about 30 years ago. And Iyanla Van Zandt was on the Oprah show that day, and she was being interviewed by Oprah. And literally within 30 seconds, excuse me, my nose is running today. Within 30 seconds, I heard her say, Iyanla Van Zandt, I heard her say, "You can't give from an empty cup." And it was like, in that particular moment, because of the timing of that saying just coming up as well. And this is what Janice and I are alluding to in the morning. You go and make yourself a cup of coffee. But what about you? What about you filling your cup in the morning before you start moving out into your day?
Mm-hmm.
It's priceless. You cannot put a price on it.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And I mean, I'm a morning person. It sounds like
Me
you are
too.
too. Uh, like yesterday, even, I didn't sleep very well, but I was like wide awake at 5:30, like zing. Today, then not so. Like I'm like, oh, okay, today I'm a little more sluggish. But some people, it's their evening. So whatever works for
Your
you,
cup. Mhm.
find that spot. And we're different. Thank goodness we're different so that when I do have to get out of the house at, 6 or 7 a.m., there's somebody at the coffee shop for me. Right? That's why we're all different. But yeah, definitely find your space in your day where it's
Your rhythm.
just for you.
Yeah.
We have 24 hours in a day, and if we can't take one of those hours for ourselves, then something's got to give, right?
Yeah.
Something's got to give. Something's got
And
to come off the plate.
absolute. And, I mean, and I hear you, ladies out there, I hear you going, "I'm a mom, I've got all these children to see to, I've got to get to work, la, la, la." Been there, done that. I had
Hmm.
2 years on my own with 2 children, single mom with 2 children. Thank God for my mother because she was amazing. But still, mornings and evenings was me and the kids and homework and all of that kind of stuff. And still, there's that half hour, even if it's 20 minutes
Yeah.
before the rest of the world rushes in.
Yeah.
And I'm laughing at you going 5:30 in the morning. I've been woken up now 2:30, 3:30, 3:30, 4:30. This whole week has been
Oh,
like that. And
yeah.
I cannot, I don't know about you, but if I'm awake, I'm awake. I must start my day with connecting to source. Um,
Mhm.
I cannot do this tossing and turning and trying to get back to sleep. Just
Well, that
don't
was
do
part of my problem this morning. I think I should have got up
it.
at 6 when I woke up.
Oh, but I must tell you, so this morning I was up at 3:30 again. No, it was a bit later this morning. It was about 4. And I got up and did some writing, and I did some more writing, and I was doing some other stuff, and all of a sudden I could feel my head starting to drop. So I went back to sleep. I slept from 9:30, 9:30, quarter to 10, to just, I don't know if I've frozen. Am I
I don't
freezing?
know if I am or you are.
Yeah, it could be me. It could be me. I was
I
just
don't
saying
know.
that I had 2.5 hours, or an hour and a half sleep this morning after my head started nodding. Um, and so, yeah, we each have this, what do they call them? Circadian rhythms. Is finding
Yeah.
your rhythm, Janice is talking about, because, yeah, I can't do the late nights. I've always been a morning person, always.
Yeah, me too.
And that's my quiet and special time when the world is still sleeping. And then, as Janice says, there's some of you who are night owls. And that's okay. It's just find what works for you.
Yeah. And talking about the busy time of your life. And that's come up a couple times this week when you've got kids and you've got your career, work, business, whatever it is. Um, Even if you can take 10 minutes, which is what I used to do. But also, what's so important, and there was a beautiful lady that posted on Instagram. She owns her own business and she never does this. And she said in the post, "I'm fine. I just want to reach out and let you know what I'm feeling right now. And she was overwhelmed. She's got a little boutique business. She's got two kids. And she said sometimes the amount of decisions is overwhelming. The decisions in the business, the decisions at home, and it's that fast-paced moving time. And what I had thought for her, I did put a little suggestion in it because I'm like, I get it. I was there. If you can connect to other women who have businesses and stay in that circle,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
yes, she said, I have family, I have support, I'm fine, but I just want to say I relate to all the moms out there. And it's like, yeah, that's the thing I didn't have is
Yeah.
connection. Like, yes, you got your mom or your sister, but it's not the same as what you're going through. So if you are going through, raising the kids, you want to be with people that are doing it too, that
Yeah.
are saying, okay, here's something I did, and a big part of the overwhelm is the second guessing and the muddleness in our own head. And if we can find a circle where we can clean that up, clean it out, it makes those decisions much easier without the constant, did I make the right decision? Should I do this or that? Like just being able to ground into yourself and lead from there. And that's where these circles of masterminds and women are so important to be in.
Yeah. Yep. And the other part that you're talking about, linking to what you're saying about releasing what's going on here, is also by talking it through, the emotions also become diffused. And so we stop reacting to how we're feeling, and we're able to then move into calmer thinking, make better decisions, because we're not being motivated by the emotion and the charge of the emotion.
Yeah.
And that's also one of the things why it's so important to be in a group of like-hearted, like-minded, like soul people who get it and who are in a space where there's no judgment. It's that there's a relatability and an intimacy that comes with that relatability, because we're going through similar things. I remember, when, and I'm sure you must have had it as well, when my children were small, I was part of a mom's group. And that was something that was, I mean, I was living 5.5 hours away from where my mom and dad were. And they became almost my family in the sense of that connection, the fact that we were all going through the same thing at the same time with little ones. And when my ex-husband moved out and we got divorced, they all disappeared. It was the weirdest thing ever. It was kind of like,
Oh.
oh, don't touch me because I might, this might just spread. And I know that a lot of women who go through that, where their relationships break up or their marriages collapse, find that a lot of their, and I'm going to say something after that, a lot of their support network that they have around them also disappears. And so there was a grief there, but also find people then who are single parents and be in groups of single parents, because it's a different dynamic where you're dealing with children on your own versus dealing with children in a partnership. And then often in many instances, even when people are in a partnership, most of the parenting and the caretaking of children is left to one person. And so I'll never forget this. This was another thing. We talk about these defining moments. I remember, remember when my daughter was at school, and the teacher came up to me and she said to me, oh, she would never have guessed that my daughter came out of a broken home. And I'm going, yay, for me, I'm such a good, this is the first time, yay, for me, I'm such a good parent, because you can't see the fact, that there's this stuff. 2 years later, same teacher, she came up to me and she said again, she said, I cannot believe that Alex comes out of a broken home. And I looked at her and I said to her, there's nothing broken about my home. There are other there are both parents whose homes are more broken than what mine is. So
Yes.
we're not
Good for
referring to it as a
you.
broken home anymore. So yeah, can
Yeah.
you see again that there's a nice contrast again between self-abandoning myself, going, yay, I'm such a good parent, because her opinion of me and my home was more important to me. And
Yeah.
then a year and a half later, going, no, there's nothing broken. There we are again. And what starts to happen when we do that is we reclaim our sense of agency and our sense
Yeah.
of sovereignty. And we stand more and more and more in our truth. And that's the key. That's the opposite. So the opposite for me of self-abandonment is self-honoring.
Yes.
And that's how we start to neutralize when we abandon ourselves. And a lot of the time to identify that is just to step back and go, just quickly, just am I abandoning myself here or am I standing in my truth?
Yes.
And if I feel like I'm abandoning myself, well, let me think about that and I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
It's
That's
as simple
powerful.
as that to stop that cycle of collapsing into ourselves.
Yes. Just writing notes for our replay. Oh, I love it. And I love that. I love that. That's exactly, it's funny that you say the opposite is self-honoring because that's the direction we're going this next week is now, okay, we've talked about self-abandonment and all the different ways we do it. And now let's move into self-honoring and self-leading and being the one who directs your life, everything, as soon as you decide the direction you want to go, that's the most important thing. Everything
Yeah,
else shifts, and
absolutely.
nothing is more important than where you decide you want to go. All the
It's like
external.
it's like stepping into that center of gravity of who we are.
Hmm.
And when we step into that sense of that knowing and listening to the inner voice, not overriding it with food, with any forms of distraction,
Yeah,
that's when we start to really connect with who we are and standing in our truth.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's what
it's
it's all about.
been an interesting few weeks, I have to say. So I've got
Well,
something else that I'd like to share with you.
okay.
So if we go back to the zodiac and we look at April and Aries, Aries not only being the first sign of the zodiac, the overriding energy of Aries is pioneering. So if you think about yourself, all the new stuff that's been coming through during the April cycle, it's all
Oh,
pioneering energy.
yeah. I
And
love it.
we're moving into Taurus, which is 2 days' time. And Taurus's energy is stewarding. So we're moving from fire energy in Aries to earth energy in Taurus. And that's about stabilizing and grounding
Which
and
everyone will be ready for.
yeah, and stewarding what's come up for us in the pioneering energy during April and during the Aries
Ah,
cycle.
what a great way of putting that. Thank you.
You're welcome. So
Ah,
that's what we're moving into. We're moving into energy, and I could feel it today. I felt this Taurian energy start to come in terms of structuring and kind of making sense of all the stuff that's been happening over the last few weeks, and
yeah.
bringing that into grounding it into a sense of structure that I can now take out, can go out into the world.
That is really, really good to reflect on. Yeah. So all these ideas and inspirations and this go energy, and now it's like, okay, now really reflect on where you're going. Like let's ground it in and solidify it. And where does Saturn stay then? Does Saturn stay in Aries?
Saturn's just moved into Aries, so it's going to stay there, which brings in structure.
Right.
Um, and so this is not about a time for creating more out of new ideas. So if new ideas are still coming through, put them either chart them in a Notion. I don't use Notion, it's too complicated for me, but chart it in a Notion folder or put it on post-it pads and stick it on a notice board if you need to see it visibly outside in your world, or start a run sheet where you just keep a list of the ideas. It's not time to now create more. It's now time to bed down what has manifested through the April cycle.
Which is very interesting for me too. I do see that very clearly. There's been a whole lot of energies of
Uh,
new ideas and also clarifying. It was very clarifying for me. Like, okay, here's the pathway. Let's get super clear on that pathway. And all these ideas and inspirations came in for the pathway. And now it's like, okay, now we're going to clean this up. We're going to solidify it. We're going to make it, you know, physical.
Stabilize. It's a lot about stabilizing the energy
Yeah,
as well.
which is
So if you
good
think about
because I don't want
stewarding,
any more.
can't cope with more. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can we just put a pause button on all of the stuff that's coming through just for a few months? But it's also around in the stabilizing of these energies, it's not about getting fixed, because Taurus is also a fixed sign. It's not about getting stuck in the rigidity. It's not about that. It's about stabilizing.
Yeah.
And then we move into Gemini, which we'll share. When Gemini comes around, I'll tell you what Gemini cycle is all about.
That sounds fabulous. That sounds fabulous. Oh my gosh. This has been so much fun and so helpful. It got my day going for me. And now
So
you
one of the things that we can post up. I know, Janice, you're doing lots of work, but I will also send you guys a link that I've put together something that can be downloaded on how to work with the energies of the zodiac month by month or sign by sign throughout the whole year.
Oh, that's fabulous. Thank you.
That link.
Yeah. That
Very
is
cool.
fabulous. Thank you. That would be wonderful because yeah, I just taught a little mini course on Thursday night about reading your birth chart and how to do that. So that would be really wonderful to share.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So
Okay. This seems like the pause. I think we're
it
we're good for the day.
seems like
It's funny
really
how it
good.
all just lands and
It is.
yeah, so
Good.
thank you everyone for joining us here. And as this circle closes for now, the light remains not just within you, or not just here, but also within you. And let these teachings echo through your being like a lighthouse calls over the sea, steady, unwavering, and sovereign. Please share, please comment, and put any questions in or any topics that you would like us to chat about in the future. We would love that. And hopefully we didn't have too much glitchiness in our internet that you were able to hear the full conversation. I'm not sure which one of us is the
I think it
glitchy
was
one.
me.
I don't know because
I got a
like
message showing your internet is unstable. So I
oh,
think it
okay,
was me.
okay. Well, that's okay. That's what happens when you're on the other side of the world from me.
The
So
satellite just wasn't doing what it needed to do.
right? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, have a beautiful weekend, Angela, and everyone else. We will see you on the internet.
And God bless and namaste, beautiful ones.
Beautiful.
Thanks for spending time with us. Thank you for giving up part of your day to spend time
Yes.
with us.
Oh, thank you.